picture. Okay, I've started the recording. If can any everyone can hear me now? What is someone saying in the chat? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so today we're going to study language choice in multilingual communities. You all know the difference between multilingual and bilingual communities, or multilingual and bilingual. So multilingual is a person who can or communities where they can speak more than two languages, and bilingual communities or bilingual are those people who can speak only two languages, right? That is more than one language, but it is only two languages that they can speak, that is bi. However, multilingual can be, speaking three languages, four languages, or five languages even. Okay, so choosing your variety or code. What is your linguistic repertoire? What is the definition of repertoire, or what is repertoire? Repertoire is actually the knowledge that you have saved in your mind related to the language. So for instance, if you are speaking a certain language, it's that if you can speak Pashto, or if you can speak English, if you can speak Urdu, it is all saved there, and it is the part of your linguistic repertoire. So you know what to say, when to say, how to say, what is the meaning of this specific word, how these sentence structures are formed. All of this is the part of your linguistic repertoire, right? Okay, this is first example, and it's important because we'll be referring to this example time and again in this chapter. Kalala is 16 years old. This is the example. Kalala is 16 years old. He lives in Bukavu, an African city in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo Zaire, with a population of about 2,400,000, and it is a multicultural, multilingual city with more people coming and going from work and business reasons than people who live there permanently. This means, I'm just giving you example. This means that it is a place where the people who are living there are less in number as compared to the people who are coming and going and visiting because of the business purpose. And it means that there are going to be multi languages spoken in that area. Kalala, Kalala, like many of, okay, over 40 groups speaking different languages can be found in the city. Kalala, like many, we are not talking about country here, we're talking about city here, right? It's a community, so we're talking about city here. Kalala, like many of his friends, is unemployed. He spends his days roaming the streets, stopping off periodically at regular meeting places in the marketplace, in the park, or at a friend's place. Now, we're going to study domains, but these are different, you can say, scenarios or contexts in which he uses different languages, and he speaks different languages. During a normal day, he uses at least 3 different varieties or codes, and sometimes more. Now, what is variety code? Code is something that we speak or that we use in a specific. It can be informal language. It can be formal language. It is, as the word code suggests, that it is in itself. It is the choice of language that you use, and you use it in, it can be a dialect, it can be a language, it can be a register, it can be a variety, it can be, for instance, we have different dialects of Pashto. So it can be any of the dialects, and that would be considered as code. So varieties or codes are, if even if you are speaking a specific register, for instance, communication between a teacher and a student, or communication between a doctor and a patient. So these all are the part of the codes as well. So they are considered as code. So the communication that is happening in everyday life of Kalala is uh, he uses three different varieties or codes, and sometimes more, depending on maybe he has met someone new, or maybe a new person is coming. So that's how he uses the language. Kalala speaks informal style of she is his tribal language, the language that he speaks at home and with his family. He is familiar with the formal she. Now these two are different codes, informal and formal she. Just like, for instance, we have Pashto. Pashto has formal as well as informal, two different codes. We can use it. We can use formal language. We can use informal language. Whose mic is switched on? Please switch it off. Formal and informal language, right? Formal she is used for weddings and funerals, and the language that whose mic is switched on, please switch it off. Sumbal. Okay. uh, he uses informal she in the marketplace, and when he deals with vendors from his own ethnic group. But if you see, it's his own ethnic group. So own with his own ethnic group, or with the people from his tribe, right? He's using informal she, which is the language that he speaks. It's a code, right? When he wants to communicate with people from a different tribal group, he uses the lingua franca of the area, which is Swahili. Now, what is lingua franca? Lingua franca is a language which is commonly used by the whole community. It's a common language spoken and understood by the whole community. So, for instance, in Pakistan, what is lingua franca? Lingua franca is Urdu in Pakistan, because that is the language we consider that everyone would be able to speak and everyone would be able to understand, at least would be able to somehow understand, and then will try to communicate. But we consider them to speak Urdu or to understand Urdu, because it's not only the national language but also considered lingua franca in Pakistan. Even in Peshawar, it is considered lingua franca. So he learned a standard Zarian. Zarian is the standard Swahili that they speak. Now one is lingua franca Swahili, but it is also it has also a standard form, and that is that he has learned at school. But the local marketplace variety is a little different. Now this is the lingua franca that they are like now. Lingua franca as Swahili is one code, which they are communicating and using when in marketplaces or in informal communication. However, there is one Swahili that they are using when they are at school. Now, for instance, I'll give you the same example from Urdu. For instance, we all speak Urdu, but there is this one Urdu that we speak in everyday life, in informal communications. However, there is one Urdu that is written, which is not considered as ordinary language. We we kind of consider it a formal a language. We cannot use certain words, and uh, we we call we when we are reading those books, those books are in the standard Urdu that we speak, which is different from the local. market. This is also a different code or variety that we are using in Urdu. It has its own distinct linguistic features. It has its own distinct linguistic features and even its own name, which is called Kingwana. Kingwana is actually the standard, sorry, the local market variety. Someone has raised, yes. Is there any question? Is there any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, someone please help Hamza. He's having some issue and he cannot hear. Or if you maybe try to switch on your mic and then, or maybe use the password that is given to you along with that. Okay, so that is Kingwana. He uses Kingwana to younger children and to adults he meets in the street, as well as to the people in the marketplace. He listens to pop music in Lingala, which is, although he doesn't speak it, but he understands it. This is the level of his understanding. You might have come across people in your life who can understand Urdu but cannot speak it. Or, for instance, there are people who would understand one language but they cannot speak it. I've seen a lot of people who can speak, who cannot speak Pashto, but they can understand Pashto. So this is the level of your understanding about the language that we have. And now we have all these codes that Kalala uses, formal, informal of one language. But here, if you see, Kingwana as well as Zarian, both are Swahili languages. It's a one variety, right? Language is one, but these are the two codes that are spoken, the two varieties that are used. One is standard and one is informal, right? Formal and informal, which is used in different contexts, or we can call it different domains, like for instance workplace or school, right? Standard Swahili is one of the national languages as well. Is the language used in Bukavu for most official transactions, despite the fact that French is the official language of the Democratic Republic of Congo Zari. Just for instance, in Pakistan, we consider English as our official English as of official language, as well as Urdu is considered official language. But if you see, Urdu is used in many places. For instance, in courts, or for instance, when you are going to file a case against someone, FIR. All of these are written in Urdu. Stamp papers uh, are also in Urdu. They are written in Urdu. In courts, we use Urdu language. However, we still consider English as official language. So at the same time, we are saying that English is official language and it is used for official purposes, but simultaneously we are using Urdu as well. So the same is the case over here, in that they are using different varieties, but at the same time, French is the official language of Congo Zari. Kalala knows almost no French at all. For instance, there are multiple people in Pakistan who are not educated and they cannot use English. They do not understand English, right? Like most other people in Bukavu. He uses standard Swahili with officials in government offices when he has to uh, fill in a form or pay a bill. He uses it when he tries when he tries for a job in a shop or an office. But in fact, there are very few jobs around because of this official language being French. He spends most of his time with his friends. With them, he uses another variety or code called Indubel. Now, this is a variety which is used among the young people in Bukavu, regardless of their ethnic backgrounds or tribal affiliations. It is used like a slang language or a code among the young people, because uh, they are young people in monolingual community. So there is this one common language which is spoken among the young boys or a young community, and that is Indubal. Indubal is based on Swahili, but it has developed into a distinct variety or code by drawing on languages like French, English, Italian, and all languages which can be read or heard in a multilingual city in Bukavu. Now, if you look at all these languages and all these characteristics, you'll get to know that this is Kalala's. That's how we write it in research as well, that this is Kalala's or the linguistic repertoire of Kalala as well as the addressees. So if you look at this, she is used in informal style and informal style both, in different situation, in different domains, depending on what is the topic, as well as the addresser, depending on the participants in the communication. Indubal is also spoken by Kalala. Kingwana is also spoken by Kalala. Standard Zarian Swahili, which is used in schools, is also spoken by Kalala, which is his linguistic repertoire. But if you look at the sequence in which it is written on the basis of, yes, it is written on the basis of his competency about one language. Like for instance, informal style is written first because he uses it at home, right? Then formal style after that, because he is not using it at home, but his competence in this she informal is more as compared to formal style. But then it goes like this, like this, like this, the standard. However, French is not there at all because it is not the part of his linguistic repertoire. He knows nothing about French. That is why it's not the part of his linguistic repertoire. It is the language that you use. Yes, it is the language that you use in everyday communication. Give me a second, okay? Okay. Can everyone hear me? Because I switched off the mic for a while.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Then we have addressees linguistic repertoire. So addressees is here, you might find an example, right? So in addressees linguistic repertoire, you have informal style, you have formal style, you have Lingala, which they speak as a communication between two younger people, and then they also know Zari and Swahili because they have been to school. So this is the part of linguistic repertoire. Linguistic repertoire is anything that is known to you as a language, and you know that the words are, the meanings are saved in your mind. You can use it in everyday communication. You know how to form a sentence, you can understand the language. That is the part of your linguistic repertoire. Now, um, anyone who has any question so far? Any questions so far? No? Any questions so far? No? Okay, I'm going to randomly choose one student, and then they are going to tell me about linguistic repertoire. Yes, Arshia. Arshia, switch on your mic. Arshia, switch on your mic. Arshia. Arshia, switch on your mic.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Okay, Arshia, tell me, what is your linguistic repertoire?
मैम मैं बीच मेरा नेट कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा था तो मैंने सुना आपका हाफ लेक्चर.
Okay. Okay, switch off your mic. Anyone who can answer me, please. Anyone who can answer me. What is your linguistic repertoire? Anyone who can answer me, what is your linguistic repertoire?
Ma'am, it's about knowing the language or the understanding of a language or different types of a language.
Yes. So who is this, Umair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Umair, tell me what is your linguistic repertoire? Can you make this table for me? Just roughly make this table,
Um,
starting from your first language, the competency of your language.
yes, ma'am. I know Pashto very well. I can speak it, but not the official version of it because
Sure.
that's tough. Same is the case with Urdu, and I can understand Arabic, but I cannot speak it. So if somebody is talking to me in Arabic, I can answer them. Sorry, I can understand them, but I have to give them the answer in my own language or another language. So that's the thing. And with
Okay.
English, I can understand the official version as well as the talking version, the informal version.
Okay, very good. If you can see this, see in Kalala's example, you can see that he can use informal style of she, which is his tribal language, and he uses at home. It means that it is his native language, and he is proficient at speaking that language. Therefore, it comes first, right? That's how you're going to make a table for your self, and try to understand this linguistic repertoire, the concept of linguistic repertoire, and you can write down the sequence of how well do you know a language and how well can you speak a language. So for instance, if we take the example of Umair, so Umair can speak Pashto, but he cannot speak the formal form of Pashto, like very the one which is written, which is the formal form. So we can write informal Pashto, which would come in the first. Then we can write formal Pashto, which we can say that he can understand and read once he starts reading it. But it does, then it comes Urdu, and it would depend how it goes. For me, it would be the other way around. For me, it would be first Pashto, informal Pashto, then it will be English, then it will be Urdu, or maybe English and Urdu lies in the same competency level, lies over the same competency level, and that's how you'll go ahead with that, right? Okay, I hope it is clear so far. Any questions so far? Is there any question? Any confusion? Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, good. In 6 minutes, this link will, expire. It means that I will send you a new link, and you have to join the meeting again, right? So, in 6 minutes, so don't be shocked that how the meeting ended. So I'm going to send you a link, and your CRs are going to share it with you. They're going to share it with you, and then you can join it. Okay, let's start with the next topic, which is a domain of language use. I've used this term twice or thrice when I was give me a minute, please. Okay, so I've used this term domain twice and thrice. Now, I'll directly come to this place, that is domain of language use. As I've given you example of Kalala, I'll be taking the same example of Kalala. domains are those code choices that is used by any speech communities in any speech community in different places, right? In different places, in a sense that but cannot speak it is also part of. Who's asking this? Noor? Noor, please switch on your mic.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Noor, ask the question.
I am in a confusion that, as you said earlier, that a person who can understand a language but cannot speak it, is it also the part of repertoire, but he is unable to speak it?
Yes, he's unable to speak it, but it's the part of repertoire. You
Okay,
can
ma'am.
understand it, right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Right, you can understand it. So anything that you can understand but you cannot speak, it's still the part of your repertoire, right?
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, just for a example, I would like you all to search this word, lexicon, right? And tell me, understand this term in detail, and then I'm going to ask you questions from this lexicon. Okay, in the next class probably, or maybe on Saturday I'll ask you this question. Okay, let's go to domains of the language use. So when you are having some conversation, and you're having some kind of interaction in a specific setting, for instance family, this is your domain. So domain is uh, any code or variety that you speak in a typical interaction with certain people, participants, in a specific setting, that is considered your domain. So if you look at this domain, this is your family domain, right? And with family, obviously you are communicating with your parents, that those are the the addressees, with the ones you are communicating. The setting is normally home, and the the topic may can be anything. Let us take the example of Kalala. If for instance sometimes it's very easy to understand what are domains and how they work. For instance, in Peshawar, or in our community, for if someone is Pathan and they are in family domain, they are sitting with their parents, they are in the setting of home, means they are at home, and they are communicating, and the topic is any family discussion, they'll be communicating in Pashto, right? But it might be different for Kalala, because if Kalala's addressee changes over here, it would not change here. In the friendship, it would change. With friends, they use completely different language, because if they are even if his friends are at his home, even the setting is home, right? They will use different language. Even if the topics, they would use different language, right? So domains are sometimes confusing, because it would vary from community to community, and from group of people to group of people. So for instance, in this domain, we this is the example that we are taking from here. That is, Anahina is a bilingual Tongan New Zealander living in Auckland. So this is the example of they were using this example over here. But it can set in this table, can set in for you as well, right? So if you can fill this, for instance, for me it is family with parents at home, it would be Pashto. The variety and code that I'll be using would be informal Pashto, sorry. Okay, I'm left with 1 minute in this class, and this class is going to end in 1 minute, and then I'm going to send you another link. Friendship, obviously it's Pashto. and then religion with some Maulvi or priest, or with Maulvi, or obviously the setting would change, is would be different, and then here it would be Pashto as well. With education, teacher, it's English or Urdu, and employment or employer or work, it's like two different varieties that we use, is English or Urdu. uh, that's how, or sorry, if I'm applying for the promotion, then obviously it's in the written form and the variety is going to be English, so I'll be using English over here. So that's how we fill these this table. Probably I'll give you